I was lied to about my house purchase. So every year for 6 years, I sent my real estate agent mysterious flowers that tore his life apart. Have you ever been wronged so badly that you couldn't let it go? That's what happened to me. What started as my dream home purchase turned into a 6-year revenge story that I've never shared until now. My name is Alex, and this is the story of how I systematically dismantled a man's life with nothing but flowers and carefully chosen words. And the worst part? I don't regret a single petal. I was 32 when I decided to buy my first house. After years of saving every extra penny from my marketing job, I finally had enough for a down payment. I wanted something simple but mine, a small place with a yard where I could plant a garden and not worry about sharing walls with neighbors. I found Mike Thompson through a friend's recommendation. He was one of those real estate agents with his face plastered on bus stop benches around town. Perfect smile, perfect hair, perfect suit. He seemed friendly enough at first, always calling me buddy and talking about how he was going to find me the perfect place. Trust me, he'd say, flashing that practice smile. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know exactly what you need. After looking at 12 different houses, I found it, a charming little 2-bedroom house with a decent-sized backyard. The previous owners had planted rose bushes along the fence, and I immediately pictured myself tending to them on weekend mornings. This is the one, I told Mike. It's perfect. Mike nodded confidently. Great choice, buddy. And the best part? It's freehold property. You own the land, the house, everything. No condo fees, no strata councils telling you what color your fence can be. That was important to me. I'd rented an apartment in a building with strict rules, and I was tired of asking permission to hang a picture. I wanted complete ownership. Freedom. When I asked Mike directly about any potential restrictions, he looked me in the eyes and said, "Don't worry about a thing. This is completely freehold property. You'll be your own boss here." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was the professional, and I was just a first-time home buyer who trusted that his agent was looking out for his best interests. I was wrong. So very, very wrong. 6 months after moving in, I decided to build a small workshop in the backyard. Nothing fancy, just a place where I could work on small woodworking projects. I drew up plans, bought materials, and was ready to start. That's when I got the letter. "Dear Mr. Reynolds, we've received reports that you intend to build a structure on your property. Please be advised that any external structures require approval from the Strata Council." Strata Council? I was confused. I read further, and my stomach dropped. According to this letter, my property was part of a strata corporation, essentially what Americans call a homeowners association. I didn't own the land outright. There were rules, restrictions, and monthly fees I knew nothing about. I immediately called Mike. The call went to voicemail. I texted him, emailed him, and even drove to his office. Each time, I got the same response. "I'll look into it and get back to you." He never did. When I finally cornered him at his office a week later, his friendly demeanor was gone. "Look, buddy," he said, not meeting my eyes. "The property details were all in the paperwork you signed. It's not my fault if you didn't read the fine print. But I had read everything. The listing had specifically said freehold. Mike had repeatedly told me it was freehold. And now he was gaslighting me, making me feel like this massive mistake was my fault. I consulted a lawyer, but the news wasn't good. Yes, there was false advertising, but proving Mike deliberately misled me would be difficult and expensive. And even if I won, the property would still be strata. I was stuck. "Sometimes it's better to just move on," the lawyer advised. But I couldn't. The betrayal cut too deep. This wasn't just about money, though I'd paid a premium for what I thought was full ownership. It was about trust. It was about the future I'd planned. It was about the garden I wanted to expand, the workshop I wanted to build, the fence I wanted to paint bright blue, just because I could. All gone because Mike Thompson couldn't be bothered to be honest with me. I tried to move on. Really, I did. But every time I received a notice from the Strata Council or had to pay the monthly fees, the anger would resurface. Every time I had to ask permission to plant a new tree or change my front door, I thought of Mike. Then one day, while tending to those rose bushes I've been so excited about, I had an idea. A terrible, wonderful idea. I remembered something Mike had mentioned during our house hunt. He'd been on the phone with his wife while showing me a property. Can't wait to celebrate our anniversary tonight, Elle, he'd said. Later, he mentioned they'd been married for 15 years. I smiled as I cut a perfect red rose from the bush. Mike Thompson had lied to me about something important. Perhaps it was time I returned the favor. The breaking point came exactly 1 year after I moved in. I received a notice that the Strata Council was raising fees by 30% to repair the neighborhood's communal spaces I rarely used. That same day, I saw Mike's face on a new billboard advertising his services. Honest guidance for your dream home. I laughed out loud in my car. Honest? The man wouldn't know honesty if it slapped that perfect smile off his face. That evening, I found myself staring at my computer screen, researching Mike Thompson. It wasn't hard to find information. His business website had his biography. Social media filled in the gaps. His wife, Elle, ran a successful catering business. They had 2 teenage kids. They lived in a sprawling house in the expensive part of town. The perfect family. The perfect life. Built on lies and the dreams of people like me. I closed my laptop and went to the garden. The roses were blooming beautifully. I cut a dozen of the best ones and wrapped them carefully. The next morning, I visited the most expensive florist in town. I ordered a stunning arrangement of red roses to be delivered to Mike's office. I wrote the card myself, making sure my handwriting was neat but feminine. Our special day. She has your eyes. Love, Elle. I paid in cash and left without giving my name. Then I went home, opened a bottle of wine, and waited. I didn't have to wait long. That evening, Mike's social media went silent. No more daily posts about happy clients and dream homes. His wife's business page, usually updated daily, also went quiet. Something had happened, and I knew exactly what it was. I like to say I felt guilty, but I didn't. Not really. What I felt was a strange mix of satisfaction and curiosity. Had Mike shown the flowers to Elle? Had she denied sending them? Had they fought? Was he sleeping on the couch? Part of me wondered if I'd gone too far. This wasn't just about getting even anymore. I was actively trying to hurt someone, damage their relationship, cause pain. I'd never been that person before. I'd always believed in treating others with kindness, in taking the high road. What was happening to me? But then I'd get another straight notice. Another rule to follow. Another denial for a simple home improvement project. And the anger would return, drowning out any guilt I might have felt. A month passed. Then 2. Mike's social media slowly came back to life, but it was different. No more family photos. No more perfect smiles. Just houses and professional headshots. I shouldn't have been checking. I knew that. This obsession wasn't healthy. But I couldn't stop myself. 6 months after the flowers, I saw Elle post a photo at a restaurant with friends. The caption mentioned new beginnings. She wasn't wearing her wedding ring. That should have been enough. I should have felt satisfied and moved on. The man was likely going through a divorce. Mission accomplished, right? But it wasn't enough. Not for me. Because while Mike's personal life might have been falling apart, his professional life was still thriving. He was still selling houses, probably still misleading buyers, still making commission checks off other people's dreams. So when the 1-year anniversary of my first flower delivery came around, I found myself at the florist again. This time, I chose white lilies, funeral flowers. The message was simple. Missing you already. Forever yours, Elle. Year 2 down. The pattern was set. Each year brought its own variation. Pink peonies with thinking of our children's future. Yellow roses with your secret is safe with me. Baby's breath with can't wait to see you tonight, my love. By year 3, I'd gotten creative. I started researching the language of flowers, crafting messages that would seem loving to an outside observer, but deeply disturbing to someone receiving mystery flowers supposedly from their ex-wife. The strangest part was how methodical it became. I'd mark the date on my calendar like a bizarre anniversary. I'd plan the arrangement weeks in advance, sometimes growing specific flowers in my own garden just for this purpose. I created elaborate backstories for each delivery, imagining Mike's confusion, his desperation, his growing paranoia. And still, deep down, there was this voice telling me to stop. This wasn't who I was supposed to be. This wasn't solving anything. But every time I tried to listen to that voice, I'd remember his smug face in his office, telling me it was my fault for not reading the fine print. The voice would get quieter, and I'd place another order. Year 6. The final delivery. By this point, I'd heard through mutual acquaintances that Mike's life had completely unraveled. His divorce had been messy and public. Elle had won custody of their kids. His real estate business was struggling. Apparently, rumors about his personal life had made clients uncomfortable. He'd started drinking heavily. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt empty. I was walking past his old office building. He'd had it downsized to a smaller space when I saw him through the window. He looked terrible, unshaven, slouched over his desk, staring at nothing. For the first time in 6 years, Mike Thompson didn't look like the confident man who'd lied to my face. He looked broken. And for the first time, I truly saw what I'd done. Not just to him, but to his children. To Elle, who'd been an innocent victim in all this. To myself, who'd spent 6 years consumed by revenge instead of building the life I'd wanted. I went home and sat in my garden among the roses that had started this whole thing. I'd never built that workshop, never painted the fence blue, never actually done any of the things I'd wanted to do with my supposed freedom. Instead, I'd spent 6 years obsessing over a man who'd probably forgotten my name after our closing. That's when I decided on the final delivery. Not flowers this time. I walked into Mike's office without an appointment. He looked up when I entered, and I saw a flicker of recognition in his eyes, though he clearly couldn't place me. "Mike Thompson," I said. He nodded. "I'm Alex Reynolds. You sold me a house 6 years ago. Told me it was freehold when it was strata." His face went pale. Now he remembered. "I've been sending you flowers," I continued calmly. "Every year. From Elle. I wanted you to know what it felt like to be lied to have your life built on something false." He stared at me, speechless. "I'm stopping now," I said. "Not because you deserve it, but because I do. I deserved better from you 6 years ago, and I deserve better for myself now." I turned to leave, then paused at the door. "By the way, Mike, you should probably get some help. For the drinking." I walked out and never looked back. That was 3 years ago. I sold a house, strata and all, and bought a truly freehold property outside the city. I built my workshop. I painted my fence bright blue. I grew a garden that I tend every morning before work. I never checked Mike's social media again, never drove by his office, never thought about what flowers would send the right message. I was free from him in a way I'd never been free before. Did I regret the 6 years? That's complicated. I regret the pain I caused his children, who had nothing to do with his lie. I regret the woman, Elle, who got caught in the crossfire of my revenge. I regret the person I became, methodical and cruel in ways I never thought possible. But I don't regret learning who I could become when pushed too far. I don't regret discovering that I had the capacity for that kind of sustained anger. It was a part of myself I needed to know existed, so I could choose never to be that person again. A few months ago, I ran into Elle at a coffee shop. She didn't recognize me, but I knew her from the photos I'd seen during my years of research. She looked happy, genuinely happy, in a way she never had in the pictures with Mike. She was with a man who seemed kind, and I overheard her mention her kid's graduation. For the first time in 9 years, I felt genuinely glad about something connected to Mike Thompson. Not because his life had fallen apart, but because hers had gotten better. I still don't know if what I did was right or wrong. Maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is that we all have the capacity for both great kindness and terrible cruelty, and every day we choose which one to nurture. For 6 years, I chose cruelty. Now I choose something else. The roses in my new garden are blooming beautifully this year. I cut them and give them to neighbors, friends, anyone who might enjoy their beauty. No messages, no hidden meanings, no secret revenge plots. Just flowers being what flowers are meant to be. Beautiful, simple, true.